Hi students, myself Tanmoy Datto, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, JS College of Engineering. Welcome you all in the class of Environmental Impact Assessment. You know, EIA is included in the general part of environmental science. Today we will discuss about the different act like Ozone Layer Depletion Act, like Forest Act, like a Water Act. Like the different kinds of regulations are there. We also discuss about this kind of regulations like Biodiversity, Environmental Protection Act. So these kind of regulations are very much important to protect the environment, because you know nowadays it is the main problem that gradually there is a huge amount of degradation occur each and every day. So if we do not control the degradation of the environment after certain years, it will not be possible for us to live on this earth. So today we will discuss about all these things. So without further delay, let's start.
Environmental Impact Assessment, in short EIA. So environmental impact assessment reveals possible positive or negative impact that a proposed project may have on environment in all natural, social and economic aspects. Thus, environmental impact assessment is an activity designed to identify and predict the impact on the geophysical environment and on human health and well-being of legislative proposals, policies, programs, projects and operational procedures, and to interpret and communicate information about the impacts. It is the environmental impact assessment. EIA is widely accepted as a tool in environmental management. What is the environmental management? Look, environmental management means nowadays the environmental degradation occur in different aspects. Okay, starting from the water pollution, air pollution, land pollution, their loss of biodiversity, ozone layer depletion, their deforestation, their different kind of problems are gradually increasing. And if the problems continue in this manner, then what happen after certain years? After certain years, the earth will not be suitable for the living being. So that's why somehow we have to control this kind of environmental degradation. So that's why environmental management or environmental impact assessment is very, very important nowadays. It has been adopted in many countries. It has been adopted in this way. The environmental management have to adopt, otherwise there is no way. Environmental impact assessment or EIA or EIS, environmental impact statement, EIS is a public document written in a format specified by authorized national, state and or local agencies. Okay, so it is a document basically which there are some kinds of acts, there are some kinds of rules are there. Okay, which rules have to follow the general people, by which the state or the nation can control the overall environmental degradation. Now, environmental regulation and the legal framework in India. So you know that in India there are different kinds of act already there. So first of all, there Wildlife or the Wildlife Protection Act. It is established in the 1972. You know that there become so many animals are there which become endangered species. So we have to protect all these animals anyhow. So that's why a Wildlife Protection Act. Second, the Water Prevention and Control of pollution. This is very, very important. There are two terms are included here. One is the prevention, another is the control. So water prevention, how prevention is possible? Prevention means actually that wastage of water, there by different way water wastage is continued, or it generally it is a common fact that the government is always trying to control the wastage of the groundwater, but it is not till now it is going on. And you know, in the below the roadside or below any street, you know, there are some taps are there which remain in open each and every time. So in one way we have to prevent, another way we have to control the pollution also. Like, you know, the rivers are highly polluted nowadays. The industrial waste coming and mixed with the river water. So in this way, if the river water become polluted, then what happen, that it will be very much difficult for different kinds of aquatic lives are there which exist there. So for it will be very much difficult for them to survive there. Now in this way there will be there is a overall impact will be on the ecosystem. The forest conservation, what I told you, deforestation is that another fact, another problem. This deforestation, so we have to control the cutting of the trees due to urbanization. You know, there are from a long term problem. Okay, that the deforestation, with the deforestation their overall balance on the atmosphere that were totally destroyed. Air prevention and control of pollution, you know, this is another problem, air pollution. Okay, and nowadays this air pollution is in huge amount. So different kinds of problems are arise, starting from asthma to another problems. Okay, so air pollution is the another problem. Overall environmental protection act, so to protect the environment there is another act. Ozone layer depletion. Okay, ozone layer is the another very important. It looks like a umbrella on the earth, and if there ozone layer depletion or ozone holes are formed, then what happens, the UV rays are directly enter into the earth, and you know, there are some dangerous effects are there of UV rays on the earth or on the atmosphere. Biological Diversity Act, also this is the very important act by which we have to protect the biological diversity. So now we'll discuss one by one. So first of all, the Wildlife Protection Act. Okay, so if we consider the Wildlife Protection Act, look here that in 1972, okay, as per the provision of the act, no one is permitted to hunt any wild animal. So this is the Wildlife Protection Act, and except the without a license from the Chief of Wildlife Warden. Okay, the act provides for the establishment of the some kinds of natural parks, a game reservoir, closed area, etc., etc. Okay, so this is the Wildlife Protection Act by which we have to control the wildlife. Actually, wildlife animals are the property of the government, you know. Okay, so trades and the commercial purpose in wild animals and the animals articles and the traffics, it strictly it is banned. Actually, no person can cook or serve meat of wild animals in any eating house without a license. Okay, so that means the rule is very, very strict, and there may be a punishment up to 3 years, which may extend to 7 years with a minimum fine of 10,000 rupees. So this is the punishment for breaking the rule. Okay, so this rule is established or was established to protect the wildlife. Okay, otherwise there will be gradually there are so many animals are there which became nowadays endangered or totally disappeared. Okay, so by this process, so now second act is the Water Prevention and the Control Act. So if you think about the Water Prevention and Control Act in the 1974, this act provides for the prevention and the control of water pollution and for maintaining or restoring the restoring of the water, okay, overall water. So in this way we can protect the water. So the act defines in the term like pollution, sewage, effluent, stream, and the broads that act also assign the functions to be carried out by central or state boards. The act prohibits the disposal of any poisonous or polluting matter or any matter causing the disturbance in the water or the stream. So this is totally prohibited. The act provides the severe punishment, okay, for violation of the act, which includes a fine and the maybe some kinds of another punishment also possible for under this act. So now come to the Forest Conservation Act. What is the Forest Conservation Act? So you know, as per this act, no forest land or any portion of forest there may be used for any non-forest purpose, okay. So this act was established for to protect the forest actually without the prior permission of the central government, okay. Central government, without the prior permission of the central government, there is there will be no permission or no any non-forest purpose, it cannot be used, okay. No state government or other authority may issue the order or directing that any forest land or any portion there may be assigned by way of the lease or otherwise any private person or any authority, corporation, agency, or any other organization, okay. It is not possible, okay. It is totally the property of the central government. Now come to the next point, and this is the Air Pollution and Control Act in 1981. So what is the Air Pollution Control Act? Look here that in case of Air Pollution and Control Act, this act was passed under Article 253 and in the Constitution of India, and of the decision of something that to protect the air pollution. The objective of this act is to provide the prevention, control, and to control the air pollution in order to preserve the quality of the air. Nowadays this is the main problem, because air is highly polluted, so we have to control anyhow the air pollution. Air pollution is defined as the presence of any liquid or gaseous substances in the atmosphere in such concentration as may be or tend to be injurious to human being, to other living creature or plants, or property of environment, okay. So this air pollution may strike not only the human being, it may strike to overall animal world and the plant world. So that's why this is very important that there must be some kinds of air prevention and the control act. All sorts of pollution such as the automobile, such as the diesel vehicles, industry, transport, railways, domestic fuels, in all aspect, from all aspect there's a huge chance of the pollution, okay. So the state board have the powers to actually to polluter in a court to law to prevent him from polluting the air, and the expenses incurred by the board for doing so will be recovered from the polluter. The act has been amended actually in 1987 to render it more effectively and to include noise also under the definition of the air pollution, okay. So these noise also included in this case. Now come to the next type of act. The next act, this is the Environmental Protection Act 1986, okay. So if you think about the Environmental Protection Act, then the Environmental Protection Act 1986 was enacted as per the spirit of the Stockholm Conference held on June 1972. It is that to take the appropriate steps for the protection and improvement to prevent hazardous to the human being, living creature, and the property. This is a landmark legislation to provide a single focus in the country for the protection of environment and to plug the loopholes in the earlier laws. This act ensured the several acts or the concerning pollution control and the environmental protection safety. So the act empowered the central government to make the rules for the first time. Okay, so for these called the maximum permissible limit of the concentration of various environmental pollutants, their standard of quality of air, water, soil, various areas, etc, etc. The procedure for handling the hazardous substances, provision and the restriction of the location of industries, okay, procedures and the safeguards for the prevention of accidents which may cause environmental pollution, providing remedial measures in case of accidents. It is mandatory for the person carrying or any industry operation, etc., not to allow emission or discharge of environmental pollutants. The act provides for the stringent penalties for defaulters. Okay, any person can make complete violation of the provision of the act of the central government or authority or authorized. There may be some kinds of, they have to there is a system of the punishment also. Now come to the point, ozone layer depletion. What I told you, that ozone layer nowadays it become the severe problem, because the already you know, if you check the picture, then you'll understand that already there are so many ozone holes were already developed. So if these kind of ozone holes are developed, then what happen, the dangerous UV rays are coming and it badly affect the human beings. So that's why there are some kinds of ozone depletion act was also there. Okay, so according to this act, these rules may be called ozone depletion substances. Okay, and no comprehensive roadmap for phasing out hydroxyfluorocarbon, that HCF. Okay, CFC was the main culprit, then HCFC also, at various sector as per the reduction target of the Montreal Protocol. I will discuss what is the Montreal Protocol. This is also included in your syllabus. Okay, today I will discuss after the discussion of all the acts. Okay, so to the Ministry of the Environment and Forest, India plan to cut the use of the HCFC by 10%. Okay, in the year by 2015. So HCF, that means the HCFC, that means that hydroxychlorofluorocarbon. Okay, so this is also dangerous for the ozone layer, and India already planned, it is already to reduce, how much is it possible to reduce the utilization of the HCFC. Okay, then to zero by 2030. Okay, it is the target that by 2030 the utilization of the HCFC will be almost zero. Okay, because it is very much dangerous for the ozone layer. So if each and every country think in this way, then one day it will be that we can that in which area ozone hole is already generated, we can't repair in this area, but which area already there ozone layer present. So our target is to protect this ozone layer. Okay, that further there should not be any kind of ozone layer depletion. We have to think on this fact. Okay, now biological diversity act. Okay, so it is also another kind of act, very important, because the Ministry of Environment and Forest has enacted the Biological Diversity Act 2002 under the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity, signed by the 5th June whatever. So in 1992, of which India is also a party in that Biological Diversity Act. As per the Provision Act, area reached by the biodiversity and the unique representative ecosystems are identified and designed as the biosphere reserves to facilitate their conservation. All types of biodiversity we have to protect by this law, Biodiversity Law or Biodiversity Act 2002. Okay. And it is a global agreement to protect the stratospheric ozone layer by phasing out the production and the consumption of ozone depleting substances. Okay, that means which substances are responsible for ozone layer depletion. Okay, ozone actually there is an reaction, you know, by which ozone layer with the ozone O3 that will be gradually break down in a chain reaction. Even if any one Cl free radical or the Br free radical, okay, if it reach to the ozone layer, then what happen in a chain reaction, gradually O3 will break down. So that means there we have to use the substances in such a way that there should not be Cl and Br free radicals will not reach to the ozone layer. Okay, so the stratospheric ozone layer filters out harmful ultraviolet radiation, which is associated with an increased skin cancer and the cataracts. And UV rays is very dangerous, okay, all of you know very well, and that's why the United States actually ratified the Montreal Protocol in 1988 and has joined four subsequent amendments. Okay, the United States has been a leader within the protocol throughout the existence, okay, and has taken strong domestic action to phase out the use of the ODA such as chlorofluorocarbon, okay, or what I told you that from CFC, chlorofluorocarbon, from CFC there is actually chlorine free radical is generated. So from this chlorine free radical is very dangerous for the ozone layer. So that's why we have to think about the generation of the this kind of ozone. Okay, so Montreal Protocol has proven to be innovative and successful, and is the first treaty to achieve universal achievement in all the countries in the world. Okay, so by this Montreal Protocol, that there is a huge global participation. The Montreal Protocol has sent the clear signals to the global market and placed the ozone layer which was in actually path to repair. Okay, so repairing means actually we have to control the generation of the ozone hole at first, because of which already destroyed, already ozone hole is generated. This is very much difficult to repair, but if in which area ozone layer is still remain active, okay, so there in this area we have to protect the ozone layer. By this global cooperation to address the environmental problem prevented actually by global impacts, such that preventing over 2 million cases, you know, for the skin cancer for the skin cancer or the per year by 2030 it will be approximately. Okay, so this is very much alarming situation. So that's why and by 2035, you know, the parties will have eliminated the vast majority of the ozone depleting substances. The Montreal Protocol scientific assessment panel estimate that implementation of Montreal Protocol will allow the ozone layer to return to its pre-industrial level by the mid-century. And most recently, you know, Montreal Protocol parties in 2016 agreed to the Kigali Amendment, which adds a new class of substances to its control, known HFC, hydrofluorocarbon. Okay, so it's the new addition in the Montreal Protocol. And you know that CFC, you know, CFC was already, it was banned. Okay, so you know that this chlorofluorocarbon, this was banned from the long years ago. So and it is the in 2016 197 parties actually to the Montreal Protocol adopted the Kigali Amendment to phase down the production and the consumption of the HFC. HFC was very dangerous, but I told you the chemical compounds which can release the chlorine free radical or the bromine free radical. This kind of substances become very much dangerous for the ozone layer depletion. Okay, and Montreal Protocol is one of the such kind of it is a protection layer, or it is the one type of guard by which we can protect, by this act we can protect the ozone layer depletion. And first of all, what we have to do, actually we have to control the or we have to there should be, make a restriction on the utilization or the application of the such kind of substances which produce the chlorine or bromine free radical, and which can react with the ozone. Okay, and then now come to the point, Kyoto Protocol. Now Kyoto Protocol is a protocol to the United Nations Framework Convention of the Climate Change. This is the another big issue nowadays, and big problem, that our climate is gradually changing, and there are different kinds of effects, different kinds of problems arise due to this climate change, not only on the human being but also to the all the animal and the plant world, and also in the biodiversity. Okay, and also the Kyoto Protocol has another aim to fight against the global warming. So global warming, all of you know very well that it increase the temperature of the atmosphere gradually. Okay, so if we do not control the global warming, then what happen after a few years, so many glaciers will be melt, and then what happened, the sea level rises, and so many lands will be under the water nowadays. Okay, there are so many cities also which are beside the sea or ocean, or okay, so this city or this land may be under the water after a few years. So that's why, so global warming we have to control anyhow, otherwise if the temperature is gradually increase such a way, then it will be very much difficult to control or difficult to exist on this earth. So this is an international environmental treaty with a goal to achieve the stabilization of greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmospheric level, would prevent dangerous atmospheric interference with the climate system. Okay, so this is the case that where we have to think about the global warming with the global warming means it is the result of the greenhouse gases. With increasing the greenhouse gases, then obviously global warming will be increased. So first of all, we have to think about that how we can control the generation of the greenhouse gases. If the greenhouse gases production will be restricted, that means that the gas which for which reason these type of gases are generated, if it is possible to control the generation, then only it is possible to control the global warming. Okay, so the protocol initially adopted on 11th December 1997 in Kyoto, Japan. That's why it is called the Kyoto Protocol, and entered into force on 16 February 2005. As on April 2010, 191 countries have signed this protocol. This is the very beautiful side, because so many countries agreed with this protocol, because these countries agreed means these countries also they are thinking that at this moment we have to control the greenhouse gases, we have to control the global warming, otherwise there is no way to survive on this earth. Okay, so from this point of view, there are so many countries which are agreed to control the global warming and agreed in the signed the protocol. Okay, so under this protocol, the 13 countries actually commit themselves to a reduction of 4 main greenhouse gases. Okay, what are the main greenhouse gases? You know very well that is the carbon dioxide, this is the methane, this is the nitrous oxide, and sulfur hexafluoride. Okay, so these main 4 greenhouse gases are there, and there are actually 37 countries who these countries are commit themselves that they will try to reduce the 4 greenhouse gases, and 2 groups of the gases like hydroxyfluorocarbon and the perfluorocarbons, these 2 gases produced by them, and all the members of the countries give a general commitment that they agreed to reduce their collective greenhouse gas emission by 5.2% from the 1990 level. So this is the important side of the of this Kyoto Protocol. And emission limit do not include the emission by the international aviation shipping, but in addition to the industrial gases. Industrial gases means it is like chlorofluorocarbon, or it may be it may be CFC, which are dealt with under 1987 Montreal Protocol also, you know, so for the ozone layer depletion. So whatever that this is the beautiful side, that so many countries are trying to control the generation of the greenhouse gases, and it is the important thing is that if there is some kind of act, and if many countries sign there, that means they already committed that they will try to control the such kind of greenhouse gases. So environmental impact assessment is very, very important, not only for your exam purpose, you know, you have to apply, or you have to know for their daily life experience, because you know there are different kinds of problems each and every day we are facing that are destroying the environment gradually, and that's why different kinds of, starting from the disease, starting from the problems, starting from the temperature of the earth, different kinds of problems, day by day these kind of problems are increasing. There are so many animals are like polar bear, okay, so their existence are in a question mark, because you know the glaciers are melting. So if the glaciers are melting, then how they can survive, isn't it? So there's a big question mark on all these things. So that's why we have to use these acts, we have to follow this act, we have to control as much as possible that which substances mainly degrade the environment, which things are mainly responsible for the pollution of the environment in any way, starting from air, water, soil, some biodiversity also. And nowadays these two factors are very, very important, that ozone layer depletion and the global warming or the greenhouse gases, okay, because a huge pollution is coming from the from each and day by day from the automobiles, from the industry, etc, etc. So in this way actually we have to think, we have to follow these protocols. So from this chapter you have to carefully, you should know that which protocol deals with which things. Like if you think about, there are actually we discussed about there are 7 total acts are there. So there you can, from there you can expect the question that which act deals with the which facts actually, okay, to control which facts there may be. And there may be this kind of question you can expect from here, that what is the Montreal Protocol, what is the aim of the Montreal Protocol, and that what is the Kyoto Protocol, and how many countries signed there, okay, what is the aim of this protocol. So these kind of questions you can expect from here. There may be some kinds of MCQ questions from here, okay, depending on each and every act. So you have to read properly each and every act and the 2 protocols which are included in your syllabus, okay. And that's all for today, okay. So just read carefully, read thoroughly all these act and the protocols, and meet with you in the next class with a